Good evening. Welcome to LoveLogical, DNA Not Required. This is Michelle L. Anderson, coming to you live from Podcast Detroit, Royal Oak Studios. We are looking forward to intriguing and entertaining you every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Let me start today's show by saying thank you for joining our family, which is biological by nature, LoveLogical by choice, DNA Not Required. Well, hello. Good evening, everyone. This is Michelle L. Anderson, as my intro just stated, and I am excited to be here today, as always. I look forward to my Tuesday podcast, and I'm always looking forward to my guests because not only am I reaching out to the LoveLogical community, but I learned myself. I learned so much from my guests. And I've had people ask me, well, some of your podcasts and everything, are they directly geared toward that LoveLogical DNA Not Required? And I tell them yes, because, truly we're all family. But I really like to share topics that can help those within blended families. You have issues within your blended family that you're trying to understand how to bring into the relationship. You have families who are love logically fostering children, and there may be some trauma or different things there within that family. And just hearing the conversations that we have, those are things that can apply even within the adopted, families of love logically adopted children, or within the spouses and the wives, and all those things can affect the family as far as if there is a trauma. And I want to introduce my guest today, and we're going to have a comprehensive conversation about how trauma truly affects your relationships. And I have Claudia Vargas, who was here with us last week. Claudia is an advocate within the Hispanic community, and she addresses issues within the Hispanic community. And Claudia and I, we both have the Love Logical hearts, and we really want to see diversity within our communities. And Claudia, when she said to me that a lot of the issues that we're having within the African American community actually mirrors those within the Hispanic community, and we don't realize how alike we are, that we need to merge our communities together. I was like, you know what? You are 100% right. So Claudia and I we built a bridge between the two of our hearts, and we are working on a mission of making a difference. And Kathleen reached out to me on Facebook because she actually is an advocate within the Brightmoor community area, and she was looking for someone who is an advocate within the community such as she, and she has a passion for reaching out and helping those who have been trafficked and those who have endured trauma in their life. And I was just saying that the Brightmoor community is taking back their community. So they're actively addressing trauma by holding classes, by holding sex trafficking classes, and they're passing out information and everything else. So I have Kathleen Hurd on the phone tonight. So hello, Claudia. Hello, Kathleen. How are you two this evening?
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
I'm excited to
Good.
be here.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. This is our third, and this is going to be our final segment on trauma. And we're talking about trauma and how it affects relationships. And one of the things that I would like to start off with is I got a phone call this week from one of my loving cousins. And my cousin was sharing with me that, they were recently diagnosed with PTSD. And it comes from trauma endured as a child, where, the the parents' significant other um, treated my cousin very poorly, and it has affected him and his relationships.
Mm.
And I look at how the traumas that I endured, early on in my relationships. I had shared that I am a survivor of domestic violence.
Mm.
I am a survivor of, verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and that literally held me back from growing in relationships in my early days, because you automatically put a wall up,
Mm.
and it also hinders you from being able to identify when you have found someone who is truly healthy for you.
Mm.
You know, what are your thoughts, ladies, about trauma and how it affects relationships?
Well, yeah, like you said, when it all affects many of the traumas have a lot to do with the way that you were raised
Mm-hmm.
or by the way your parents um, taught you, um, by the way that they believe was the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and nobody has a guidebook, right?
No,
Of
no.
how to be the right parent. Many of us learn from our own parents. They carry their own traumas. And also, we forget that generation after generation has its own set of rules and its own set of um, era. And what parents like, for example, for the Hispanic community, my parents were brought up that if they did something wrong, they will hit you in the mouth, throw a chancla, what we say, the shoe,
Oh yeah.
and it will fly, and you will be threatened by a chancla, or you will be threatened by a wooden spoon, or some sort of way to punish you for what they thought was the way to raise you. Here we are in 2019 when we see that as total abuse, and children have much more control over teachers, over
Parents,
parents,
yes.
over principals, over schools, um, and it's kind of out of control.
I think that our
Mm.
children are out of control. What do you think, Kathleen, when you think of what Claudia just said?
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
The children are completely out of control, yet we have what she just said. We have what is considered abuse. And back when I was a child, any spanking, whooping that I got, it made me a better person. But now this thing is abuse, and the children are out of control because we cannot hit children the way we were hit.
What's really funny is when I think of trauma and abuse growing up, spankings, they're not part of what my thought process is, because I was
Mm.
spanked. I received
Mm.
spankings. I was one of those
Mhm.
kids that got popped in the mouth,
Mhm.
and I can laugh at it because that's not the things that really traumatized me. But
Right.
sometimes when I fuss at mine and everything, they're more sensitive than we were. They're
Mm.
much more sensitive. And I think that it's because it was placed in their heads that your parents aren't supposed to fuss at you. Your parents aren't supposed to this. Your parents are supposed to talk to you. You're supposed to do timeout and things like this. And kids
Mhm.
don't respect their parents like we did because we feared to a certain extent, but it wasn't the type of fear that, oh my goodness, you're coming my way, I'm going to jump, I'm going to cover my head because you're going to beat me.
Right.
It was the fear of, if I don't respect you, I'm going
Yes.
to get my butt whooped. And
Yes.
I think that, I don't know, but it's almost like a double-edged sword, so to speak, because the generation, our parents' generation, that spanked us, that popped us in the mouth when we said something, totally disrespectful to them, that washed our mouths out with soap, that told you to go outside and get a switch and braid it so they could whoop your butt.
Yeah.
That generation, the only thing that I can say that is really negative about that is, a lot of us really don't know how to raise our own children without fussing at them or without, it makes it hard. I mean, I don't beat my kids or
But
anything.
if you think about it, back in the day, parents were more involved because they also had their rights.
Yeah.
They were not afraid of police taking their children away. They were not afraid of the schools or social services coming to their home. And at least when my parents raised me up, I don't remember hearing school shootings. I don't remember hearing sex trafficking like I hear it now. And I think it has a lot to do with the losing of the control of the children.
With how we were raised.
Right.
Yes.
And oftentimes then you had two parents at home. You had the parents, I had a stay-at-home mom. My mother worked when she wanted to. She was kind of like Pam on Everybody Hates Chris. Except my dad had one job. My mother was like, oh, well, I want to learn how to do this. I think I'll work here for a couple of months so I can learn what I want. And then she kind of went on her wayside and, come on back home. But, I had home cooked meals. Mm-hmm. I knew that if I got in trouble in school, I knew my mama was coming to school. I mean, and we would get embarrassed. I mean, mama would show up in rollers and a house coat. Parents whoop their children in front of the classroom.
Parents were more involved.
Yes,
Teachers could whoop your butt in the broom closet.
Yes, they could.
But we also had respect for each other.
Yes. Yeah.
We respected each other. We respected our neighbors. If a neighbor told you to come here because they caught you doing something, you did not dare tell your neighbor, I'm not coming. You ain't my mama.
No.
Because now you're going to get in trouble for whatever the neighbor saw you do, and you're going to get in trouble for the fact that you sass back at the neighbor. So
I didn't even know my friends' mothers had first names.
No,
I didn't know anybody's first name.
True.
It was Mrs. Whoever.
Yes.
It was not. Hey, my daughter had a little girl that used to come over, and she would say, "Hey, what's up, Kathy?"
Oh no.
I was like, what?
No. I miss Michelle to little ones. I'll say Miss Michelle is good, but I don't like the first name thing with kids either. I really don't.
No. No.
But the one thing that I can say is I think that back then, I think there was more domestic violence in the home. There was molestation and things amongst the family member. We've talked about that, where you'd want to have to keep it quiet. And I let it be known that my mother chased my uncle out the house with a butcher knife, and I never had to see him again. We saw and heard arguments, and we saw and heard cussing and name calling, but at the same time, we saw how our parents would work together toward making up as well.
Yeah.
And in today's world, it's kind of like if there's a rift or whatever within the household, it's almost an automatic assumption that divorce is coming. Do our kids know how to have healthy relationships now? Do our children know how to even respect their elders now.
Mm.
Yeah, we in the Hispanic community, it's getting lost. Um, it was so much better, and it's sad that that
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
not like it used to be. Um, but like I said, it's the generations. They move
Yeah.
along, and it brings down the good and the bad
Yes.
of
Yeah.
different cultures.
You know,
I mean,
go on, Miss Kathleen.
I was going to say that I was just saying the other day that we need to get back to basics with children, something as simple as jacks and marbles. And children nowadays don't know all those kind of things. Those are things in my childhood that kind of invested into me and made me the person that I am.
And
And we don't do
time.
that now. My daughter is 34 years old. And I was asking her, I said, remember when you used to play jacks? And she said, I never played jacks. And I'm thinking, I didn't make sure you played jacks? What? That's what we did as children.
Hmm.
Nowadays, it's the video games and I guess all this rap music and things that kids get so interested in that stops them from actually being children and knowing how to be respectful to other people. They don't get it. They just don't get it.
I'm going to say something that a lot of people may not like. So if you don't like it, info@lovelogical.com, or you can IM me at Michelle L. Anderson or LoveLogical on Facebook or Instagram. But one thing that I'm going to say is I think that many of our youth today are traumatized by music, the music that they
Yes,
listen to. I
yes,
think that they are traumatized by the video games that they play
yes,
because I think they're traumatized by all of these horror movies that they watch because
yes,
all of these things have a negative impact on your brain.
yes.
Because you're taking in negativity. They're shooting and killing people on video games. At a young age, we were saying the other day, at a young age, a 3-year-old can sit there and watch their mother, father, or whoever in the house play Grand Theft Auto or play, oh, what's the name of I can't think
Any
of the,
basketball.
no, I'm trying to think of the name of these, the video game that my niece
Oh,
plays, Fortnite.
okay. Mhm.
Fortnite, and you have these kids playing these games before they even know what right or wrong is.
Yes.
And then the language and everything. You
Yes.
have teachers who are trying to teach a classroom, and you have parents who are making it difficult for a teacher to teach because the parents won't parent their child. They want to
A lot
attack
of
the
the parents are
teacher.
not that old themselves.
Right?
You
That's
know.
true. That's true. That's true.
My daughter
So
was a teacher for a while, and she said that a lot of her students' parents listened to rap and went to rap concerts and things like that. So what if the parent is doing? What's the child gonna do?
yeah. And I don't think that all rap is bad, but I do
Mhm.
have a problem with, and I call it negative rap,
Right.
because if I think that it makes our girls get used to be calling, excuse me for, this is a
Yes.
beep beep if you have kids
Yes.
listening,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
think that our daughters are being used to calling bitches and hoes,
Yes.
and that our girls are a lot, they're used to the breast being out, the butt being out, that's acceptable. The boys, all they really talk about now is sex, and it's not
Yes.
in a Temptations or a Temptations or Whispers or Luther Vandross type of way.
It's in a
You know,
Right.
disrespectful way.
it's not in a respectful way at all. It's so disrespectful, and it's more so about what the negative mindset of a man who has no respect really for a woman and
Right.
what he wants to do. So I think that it's affecting relationships as they grow, as relationships for our teenagers, relationships for 20s, relationships for 30s, because I don't know, you just have a culture that is just it's not of respect
Well,
and
Well,
positivity.
it's a mixture of different generations. It's a mixture of what's popular, and many of the songs that are popular are the ones that have the worst
Lyrics.
lyrics.
yes.
um, and I see it with the teenagers, and I see it with the young adults. That it's just so easy for them to sing out loud this song full of beep beep
The
beeps in
cussing, yeah.
front of your parents, in front of me, like they are singing a Beatles song,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
or Lathrop Banthrop, or
Yeah.
the songs that we used to sing when we were younger. And for them to just sing out loud these songs with all these words that I did not use when I was a child, and for them it's like a regular word.
And
Yeah.
it's unnecessary. I challenge the rappers out here to be able to truly show your craft. If you're really good at what you say that you're good at doing, you should be able to do it without cussing. My
Well, when they first came out, you weren't the rap songs. When they first came out, there was no cussing
yeah.
in the rap songs.
But now it's
And
like
you
the more
knew.
they cuss, the better they feel as if they're doing. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was always
Yeah.
taught that it takes an ignorant person not to be able to have a conversation without cussing.
Without cursing. That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
And when you're constantly, like you say, the bleep, 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 it's like, what are you feeding to your own generation?
Right.
And they have the ability to make a change.
Right.
Our musicians and our actors and things, they have the ability to make a change when it comes to our young people and relationships. They really do.
Yeah, but they only see the ratings and what somehow, our generation has been bombarded with shootings, with lyrics that are unthinkable,
Hmm.
for us that are the older generations. And they don't even react emotionally when there's a shooting, because there's
No.
so many of them, because they play with the video games, like you said.
Yes.
So it has been right stuck in their brains since they were young when
It's
they
a
were
norm.
playing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they have no emotions.
Sensitized to it. We're sensitized
Yeah,
to it. Yes.
desensitized completely.
Yes. So
So
how
Yeah.
can we expect them to be respectful, and how do we expect them to react against abuse, and how do we expect them to see the wrong from right when things that are horrific and that are happening around the world is normal to them?
or that they're re-victimizing victims on a regular basis. They're
Hmm.
actually promoting PTSD in some people.
Okay.
I
Hmm.
don't think that people are as strong as they used to be.
Yeah.
No.
And I believe that we can still make a difference. Just out of curiosity, Kathleen, give me one suggestion that you feel as if will help families um, enduring trauma flip it and help them get to where they're not suffering from the level of trauma. What can make them turn it around into something more positive? Help to remove that
Well,
trauma from their hearts.
a lot, especially in the African American culture, we don't think talking, going, getting counseling and therapy,
Hmm.
especially as a family, we think that makes us weak. But to me, to be able to sit down and share what is going on, what's bothering you, what's bothering me, what has caused you to be hurt, what's caused me to be hurt, is the strongest thing you can do as a person and definitely as a family. That's the strongest thing you can do for yourself
I
and for
agree.
your family.
I agree. I totally agree.
And it's the same thing for the Hispanic
Hmm.
community, and it's no difference. So yeah, I totally agree with Catherine. It's sitting down, talking, um, getting deep down to the core of
Yes.
the problem,
Yes.
and being supportive of each other's emotions and trying to learn how to use our emotions to get to the root of the problem, e- and really be supportive, like sit down the whole entire family and really
Hmm.
be proactive to care and to give very positive feedback when
Yeah.
somebody's trying to make a small change,
Hmm.
because
Right.
that will make a world of a difference.
I say
Yeah.
take
That's saying.
ownership.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, take ownership in what it is that you're bringing into the home that can cause negativity or stress, you know, within the home. Take ownership of it.
Mhm.
Don't blame others for really what's coming out of you.
Mhm.
And part of going back to what Kathleen just said and what you said, counseling makes a huge difference, and there is a stigma against counseling within both the African American and the Hispanic communities,
Mhm.
which I don't understand why. What is there to be afraid of? It's not putting someone in your business. It's really allowing someone who's educated in psychology, counseling, therapy, to be able to help you learn how to communicate, learn how to identify um,
Yeah.
the stressors, learn
I
how.
I think I have possibly one of the answers is,
Hmm.
at least for the Hispanic community, we were always taught not to get involved, not to speak up, to be respectful to people in authority, right? And even though there were some sort of catastrophic abuse, let's say the church,
Hmm.
you know, um, in our cultures, we were told, don't say it, don't speak up, be
Mhm.
quiet.
Mhm.
So, how are we expecting all of a sudden, okay, now you can speak up, now you can say it? It's a whole process, it's a whole, and it doesn't really happen. You're not really ready until you are ready to change as a person. It's very hard for a
Right.
teenager to go and say, this, unless they get to a really bad position where they're thinking to kill themselves, they might reach out to someone. But I think the aha moment happens when we are much older. We are ready to change some things that we have done bad in the past, and we want to be a better person. And that's when we reach out for counseling. That's when we reach out to be a better person. But it comes within you, and sometimes you have to touch bottom to see that it's time for you to look for help, additional help. I don't know if you can relate to that
I
or
can,
not.
I can, but I do
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
that a lot of our youth, our teenagers, and the millennials are more open to counseling than what we were or what our parents were. I was
Yes.
always open to counseling, but I learned about counseling from television, and I learned about counseling from a classmate who was going through counseling. And when I mentioned it to my parents, I was basically told that black people don't do that.
Hmm.
So I literally found a counselor myself and I went found a psychiatrist. And I went after school and I forged my parents' name to a permission slip. And my family found out that I was going to see this psychiatrist when they got their Blue Cross Blue Shield bill, you know,
Mm.
Okay.
and I couldn't go anymore. But what I learned helped me a lot.
And how old were
Mhm.
you?
I was I wasn't driving. I was on the bus, so I had to be 15.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cuz I had a car at 16, so I had to be
Well,
15.
I remember my mom trying to drag me to counseling because I was having a hard time when we moved from Mexico to the U.S. and I was not having any friends and I
Mhm.
was really struggling with depression. And she tried really hard to get me into counseling, and I was running the opposite way.
But see, your mother was proactive.
She was
Yes.
proactive,
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
but no, I was not ready to go there. I was thinking, how? No, I don't need the help.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm fine, but she could see that I was not fine.
That's very proactive of your mother.
Right?
I commend her
Yes.
for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. In my opinion, trauma is why the city has become the way it has become. The blight, and over here in Brightmore, we have whole blocks where there are no homes.
Mhm.
And trauma, that they're saying hurt people.
Yes.
That's just going to keep going until we can figure out a way to get people who are hurting to get counseling, to get past the trauma they have in their lives. I don't care how much we build it up, the city, it's
Mhm.
still going to be torn down because we still got people with trauma out here destroying things because they don't know how to deal with their lives.
They don't know how to make something positive out of their
Yes,
lives.
yes,
Yes.
yes. They get new homes and they tear them up. I mean, you have a new home. Why would you want to tear up where you have to lay your head?
Mhm.
Don't want to cut the grass. Over here, we had trouble with dumping. They dump things everywhere. Why? Don't you want beauty? My grandchildren went to school at 7 Mile and Losser, across Losser, and
Mhm.
all the homes are nice. And they said, this is a neighborhood. Why we can't move into a neighborhood? We live in the hood. We don't live in a neighborhood. Children shouldn't have to think that way. That's
Yeah.
trauma itself.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to think that way.
But and I understand that, but that's where parents have to move at bettering themselves so
Yes,
that their children can see
yes,
that things can change. You
yes,
know, if spouses, if you have a spouse that has endured trauma, I agree that you should go to counseling there too, so that
yes,
you can learn how to handle things amongst, between the two of you, and then eventually bring the children in as well, so you can work
yes,
things out as a family.
yes,
You know, um,
yes,
that to me makes a big, huge difference. And I know that family counseling is very big now. It's very big now. And I think that it's starting to trickle into our communities, but that's also trickling into more of middle to upper middle class,
mhm, mhm,
because many people within our lower class community may not have the ability to go to a counselor, or may not know that they have the ability to go to a counselor, because there are a lot of free counseling, locations available. And with the internet, there's so much information that's out there, but you just have to be careful, because you don't know what's good, what's not good, what's positive or what's negative, or if someone's really trying to get into someone's mind
And
that really don't belong there.
I think you just hit
right.
something very important. Internet, Google. Nowadays, this new generation seems to fix everything with the internet. They want a solution, they go to Google. They don't need to reach out to the parents anymore. They just look at YouTube, a video, how to do things, how to put things, how to tie, how to, you know, parents are no longer accountable for their children's lives
Mhm.
because there are all these videos on how to do things that we are losing this communication with our children.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Right.
are right, and losing communication between husbands and wives too,
Definitely.
Yeah.
because so many people are online instead of talking to each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my love logical little sister has met a wonderful man, and he dates her, he courts her. You know,
Mm.
he likes to do things. Going to the winery. You know, they in their city where they live. You know, they have a gondola, and he did a gondola ride for her. You know, he
Mm.
buys flowers and things like that. And women, she appreciates it because she was raised to appreciate it. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with being courted. And I think
No.
that we've taken that away from ourselves. And I'm not saying me, because I like dating and I like being courted. But when I say we, I'm speaking of people. You
Mhm.
know,
Yes.
women say, I can open my own door. I don't need somebody to open up a door for me. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with letting a man treat you like a
I
lady
agree.
and open
Yeah.
up a door for
I
you.
agree.
That's not saying
I
that you
agree.
can't do it yourself. It's saying, I respect you and I think that you are a lady. And let
Yeah.
yourself be that. Even if your
Yeah.
significant other is another female, let her open up a door for you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it. You know,
Yeah.
find dates should not always have to be expensive. You know, there are museums. I remember growing up going to art galleries, going to
Mhm.
museums. There's so many free things to
Going
do.
to the parks.
Yes, put
Go to the
some.
park, sit by water. That's the most romantic
Yes,
thing you can do.
it really is. You know, go to the park. Remember picnics?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and
The
things like that.
best.
Yes.
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 And to me, it takes a man with a good heart and some level of pride within himself, to where he doesn't care if he looks soft when it comes to his woman, because the man, to me, a man who feels as if another man looks soft because he's courting and appreciating a woman,
Yes.
it's something wrong with that person who's feeling that way,
Yeah.
other than the person
Yeah.
who's doing what he's doing. And I think that that's something that needs to come back into the home as well. You
Yes.
know, when you got with someone, you want to go out. And it's not always to the movies or not always to dinner. You know, find other things to do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Go fishing.
Go for a walk.
Yes.
Go for a walk.
Look at the stars.
Yes.
Remember when we used to go on top of the cars and look at the
Yes.
stars?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
And it's almost like everybody, it's like I'm doing it, but I'm only doing it if it's going to lead to sex.
Right.
I'm
Mm.
gonna do this if it leads
Mhm.
to sex. I'm gonna do this because it's gonna make this person want to have sex. And it's like,
Mhm.
why does it always have to go to that?
Be about sex.
Yeah,
Right.
why not about getting to know each other? And I think that we've taken so much out of relationships building, that our
Yeah.
children don't really know how to build relationships because they're not seeing it.
Exactly.
No.
They're not seeing
Well,
it.
when they made the word bitch an term of endearment, that I don't understand, because if you call me a bitch, I'm ready to fight. Well, a lot of these young ladies, they just call each other bitch back and forth. Oh, bitch, you. I'm like, oh no, no,
No, it's not acceptable.
Mhm.
And I say the same
no.
thing. And, you know, one thing that I was taught is, you know, that's a female dog in heat. And
Yeah.
my mother always told me, you're not a dog. You're not a
Mhm.
Right.
dog, you know? And yes, when it comes to some people, a woman might be in heat, but at the same time, she's still not a dog.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. But if, you know, we have to learn how to respect ourselves, and we have to learn how to respect our partners. You know, there
Yes.
was a back, oh man, it had to be, I think, about 10, 12 years ago. There was a movie that was on with Kirk Cameron, and I think it's The Marriage Pact,
Mhm.
where it was a book of 31 days, 30 days of things to do to help to build your marriage or build your relationship. And it gave you something new to do every day for your partner. And normally it was so without your partner knowing that you were doing the book. But I used to have a birthday group that I belonged to, and we would get together once a month to celebrate birthdays for that month. And we would talk about relationships and marriages and things like that. And several of my friends actually bought that book. And it got to a point to where I actually bought the book for some of my friends, who would talk to me
Mm-hmm.
about their relationships. But that book literally pulled them back together again.
That's beautiful.
It grew their marriage because it makes you see the things that you're not doing, but it also helps you see the level of appreciation from the little things. And it was something as simple as leaving a note
Yes.
or saying something, complimentary,
Oh, you
you
look
know.
beautiful. We don't
Yes.
say that anymore,
No,
right?
no. You look beautiful. Now let's go lay down. No. And I mean, those are the things that to me can help even a person that has been traumatized by a previous relationship, or they're going
Yes.
through something, some level of depression, or just your household is out of balance. It's the
Yes.
little things like that that makes a difference. It really
Definitely.
Yes.
does.
Yes.
I want to bring family back.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be
That's
done. But
and that's something that we want to work on with the young ladies in this community to
Mhm.
learn to appreciate yourself, to learn to love yourself, to learn to honor yourself,
Mhm.
and that we believe that would help them become less susceptible to becoming victims of human trafficking or prostitution or drugs or alcohol or anything that
Yeah, to where
would
they don't have
lessen
to
them as human beings. Yes.
you're basically saying so that way they don't have to worry about they'll care more about themselves where the boys won't be able to talk, as my mother used to
Yes.
say, holes into their heads.
Yes. Right. Yes. Yes. Indeed. Yes.
I
And
want
then, and
to
then it still goes back to the family too, as well.
mhm,
mhm.
You know.
definitely.
Mhm. I think that all
Yeah.
makes a difference. It does.
Yes. Yes.
Now I would like to see some of our girls. Remember back when you had etiquette class,
Yes.
and you also had, you had etiquette class, you had, what was it, cotillions
Mhm.
and different things where the girls would learn how to be a lady and the guys would learn how to be a gentleman.
Yes.
And I would actually
Set
like to
tables.
see things like that come back. And
Yes.
I was going to say here, now I know Nicole Beecher, of Nicole Beecher International on Facebook, and her last name is Beecher. And Nicole has actually opened up a etiquette school here in metropolitan Detroit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so if you go on, it's Beecher, Beecher Etiquette School, Etiquette School dot Michigan. Let's see, I don't have my glasses on, -michigan.com. So, and if you want that information, just inbox me. But it's Nicole Beecher Etiquette School, and it's right here within metropolitan Detroit. And my thing is, let's start with self. Everyone talks about self love, self help, and everything else. So you do have to work on yourself. So if you need counseling to help you deal with some of the traumas that you grew up with, um, stop re-victimizing yourself. Stop blaming
Yes.
yourself for the things that happened to you, and find a way to grow out of whatever it is going on within you, you know?
Yes.
And that includes me, because a lot of times I fall, but I keep getting up.
Yes.
And, you know, people who know me know that I've been through a lot of trauma. I suffer from PTSD from getting hit by a Suburban as a pedestrian. And it's been 9.5 years now. But I keep getting up. I'm never
Mhm.
going to stay down. Never going to stay down. And eventually, I'm going to rise so high to where you guys are going to be like, dang, that was the girl that did that podcast in Detroit. Now look at her. Shoot, she hanging
Right
out with
now.
Oprah.
Definitely.
So we have to start with healing ourselves. If your husband or your significant other has endured some type of a trauma in their life, try to talk positivity into them. When they get negative, come back with positive. If
Definitely.
something happens, ask them what's the positive that they can get out of what's happened to them.
And I think also when people are enduring trauma, the last thing they want to hear is their trauma.
Right.
They they want a supportive spouse that is gonna take them out of their panic
Yes.
mode and say, I got you. Everything's gonna be okay,"
Mm-hmm.
and concentrating to something else that is gonna bring them down to that peace. So you as a
Yeah.
spouse need to be supportive. You as a child need to be supportive. You as a family member need to be supportive and need to learn, read how you can help those people that have some trauma in their lives.
I think
I
that
agree.
yeah, that makes a big difference. And one of the things too is once you start healing yourself and your spouse, you're going to trickle and start healing your children just by seeing you grow, and then do it
Yeah.
as a family. And the name of the book that I was talking about is called The Love Dare. It's
The
called The
love.
Love Dare. Dare.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
the name
Okay.
of the movie was Fireproof. So it tells you a way to fireproof your marriage. And there is a website called fireproof.com, fireproofmymarriage.com. And then they have like a year of devotions for couples. They actually
Oh,
have retreats and things like that for married couples. And there are retreats for couples in general. I'd Love Logical actually had a retreat out there for couples for Father's Day. And I'm going to be doing another retreat for couples this fall because
okay.
there's a necessity. I grew up in a household to where my parents would go and get a hotel room because my mother said that you have to get out of your own bed,
Yes.
you know.
I
So
agree.
and we could not call them or bother them unless somebody was bleeding or half dead.
Mhm.
That was the only way we were allowed to, and they would go out on dates and things like that. And I've had people tell me, "Well, you're not going to find or you're not going to get the type of relationship that your parents had." And I actually had allowed that person to get into my head saying, "Well, maybe I won't." But now I'm saying, "Why not? I'm worth it."
Definitely,
That's right.
it can be better
Yeah,
too.
it could be better. I'm worth
Right.
it. I want
That's
somebody who
right.
wants to do something special with me. And my parents danced together. My parents would, they go out and they had dates and things like that. Did they get into their arguments and everything else? Yes, they did, because they're human.
Right.
Any humans are going to have arguments and disagreements and everything else, but they also bounce back.
Definitely.
They bounce back. My parents taught me how to love, and
Yes.
then marriage relationships are a struggle. And at my age now, I am a proud 52, soon to be 53. I'm not one of those women that's afraid to tell my age because I'm on this side of
Hmm.
the dirt, so I'm good
Yes.
with telling it. And
Yes.
I feel as if when we're dating at my age, you should be getting to know the person and spending time with them to find out what they like, to laugh together.
At any age.
Yes, at any age, laugh together, enjoy each other, And I want my daughter to be respected. I
Yeah.
want her to know what it's like to have real dates,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and to grow, grow into friendship and then grow into relationship.
Yes.
You know, not because I talked to you on the phone, now you're my woman. No, just because you talk to me don't make me your woman.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
every time we see each other, we in bed,
yeah,
and we don't know anything about each other.
right,
Yeah.
right. You know, and I want to see a difference within our communities. Trauma affects so many of us. So
Yes.
many of us. And if you look at trauma, you own up to your own traumas. You own up to the things that maybe you're passing down to your kids. Find a way to fix it. Find a
Yes.
way to fix it.
Yes.
You know? If it's going into your relationships, find a way to fix it. If you keep ending up with
Yes.
the same type of people, find a way to fix you.
Yes.
Definitely. And surround yourself with positive people that are going to
Yes.
help you get to the
Yes.
goal that you want.
Right, right.
Yes.
Yes. Tomorrow is a day of reflection for me. I'm going to a quiet retreat
Hmm.
with Grow From Your Overflow with Deneen
Mm.
TB. And it's just a 8:45 to 3:30 in one of the Capuchin at the Capuchin retreat in Washington, Michigan. And it's, you know,
Mm.
you have a room for the day. You have the grounds to take a walk on, which are just beautiful. You have the pond there. You have, it's, you know, it's the Capuchin retreat, so you have Jesus, you have Mother Mary, you have everyone, the statues and things. You have the 10 Commandments around you, but there's so many different trails. And I was there earlier this year and looking forward to tomorrow. And it gives
Yes.
me a time to reflect on me, you know, and it gives me a time to think about the things that I need to change and I need to work on in my life.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that many of us need that time.
Hmm. Definitely.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we have to get ready to sign off here. So, Miss Kathleen, give us something that you want to leave everyone with today. And did you get anything out of today?
Oh, it was wonderful. Thank you, and I hope you invite me back again. And the one thing that I want everybody to do is to love yourself before you try to love somebody else. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. So that sticks in my mind. I had to learn that. I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn to love myself so I could love so many others. And I had to learn to love myself to know I'm not going to deal with just anything either.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be by myself than have to deal with just anything because I love myself just that much.
Yep. That is so
So that's
true.
what I want.
Thank you. And Claudia?
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for allowing me to speak and share my thoughts. And I want to tell the people to listen to your gut feeling. Your
Mm,
gut is always telling you a warning or is giving you heads up of
Mm-hmm.
something. So
yes,
don't ignore it. Listen to it and take action. Don't let anyone else decide for you. Your gut feeling is your best ally.
yes.
And I want to say thank you to those who have listened to all three sessions on trauma. What is trauma? And, you know, our candid conversation, because you are the best thing that's ever happened to you.
Yes.
Because without you, there's you don't have your children, you don't have, you know, your relationships, you don't have your successes, you don't have the opportunity to fail and get back up again. And failure is just a precursor to success. You
Yes.
know, don't be afraid to go to counseling to get some help. Don't be afraid to admit that you have a problem. Go get help. Don't be afraid to say, I need to love me. I need to
Yeah.
figure out how to get rid of the traumas that have affected me and that's stopping me from moving forward in my life.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Deneen TB had me do was to take sticky notes and just write out all of my thoughts, everything that came to mind on those sticky notes until I got everything out, and then to put them in order as far as what is extremely important, what do I need to address now, what's important that needs to be addressed soon, and what can be addressed at a later time, and what do I need to
Mm.
just let go of, just let
Mm.
go, and I've done that, and I'm going to do that again because I'm thinking I need to do it on a regular basis. And you know we have to heal. We have to heal
Yes.
within ourselves. And
Yes.
healing is not sitting around with a bunch of traumatized, negative people and crying about what's happened to you because you're not getting anywhere. It's about dealing with traumatized, positive people who's trying to
Yes.
make a difference and who's trying to grow, and you support each other by linking arms and holding each other up.
Yes.
So if you have
I agree.
someone who's traumatized bringing you down, give them
Let
the
it
name of a
go.
counselor.
Yes.
Yes.
Put yourself first.
And yes, put
Yes.
yourself first. So
Yes.
we're end tonight by saying thank you for listening. As always, Love Logical, DNA not required for you to be a part of our family. And we're biological by nature. We're Love Logical by choice. And we love you all. Thank you. Good night.
Goodbye.
Thank, thank you. Good night.